President Aguinaldo, we are ready to start.
Thank you very much, Terry. Right. I would like to call the Calbright College Board of Trustees Executive Committee meeting to order on this morning of December 14 at 11:03 a.m. And before the meeting gets started, I'd like the board liaison to review the meeting procedures and protocols.
Good morning and thank you for joining us. I'm Terry Lucas, the board liaison at Calbright College. You can follow our meeting agenda on Board Docs. The link can be found on our website, which is calbright.org/board. For attendees who wish to make public comment in person, please fill out a public comment card and submit to me. For attendees who participate remotely, please use the Q&A feature on Zoom to address the board for up to 3 minutes. Public comment should be used to address today's agenda. A reminder that this board meeting is being recorded.
Thank you very much, Terry. Please call the roll.
Hildegard Aguinaldo.
Here.
Amy Costa.
Here.
Pam Haynes.
Here.
Jennifer Perry.
Here.
Bill Rawlings.
Here.
5 present. We have a quorum, President Aguinaldo.
Thank you very much, Terry. Now we will proceed with the Pledge of Allegiance. Vice President Rawlings, would you do us the honor?
Please stand if you're able and face the flag. Right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America,
to the republic,
to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Vice President Rawlings. We have a fairly meaty agenda in front of us. Does anyone have any comments on the order of the agenda? All right, hearing none, we will proceed in the way that it appears in our materials. The next item is the board president's report, so that's me. I would like to acknowledge that this is our last meeting of the year and that we have had an incredibly busy year where everybody is working really hard and leaning in with all of their passion and their expertise. I wanted to emphasize how much gratitude I have and how much the board has for the work of everyone, our board colleagues, our staff, our Calbright team, faculty, our students, every single one of our stakeholder groups who is interested and passionate about our learners has contributed and is a part of this way in some way, shape, or form. So I just wanted to express my gratitude to them. Thank you for being a part of this, and thank you for hanging in with us for this entire year. I think the other thing that I wanted to acknowledge was that Calbright had an all-hands meeting. I think it was last week. It feels like eons ago now, but it was last week. And to continue that theme of gratitude, Bill and I just felt so welcomed in front of that group, and we were able to talk and have discussions about things that are pressing on everyone's mind. And I just really appreciated how there was a spirit of community and how we did have that space and that venue to have these discussions. So just wanted to be so appreciative of everyone who attended that as well. So thank you. The next meeting that we'll see is in 2026. So I guess I'm supposed to say something like see you on the other side, but I think that's a little bit early now. Let's move to our President CEO's report in the interim. Passing over to you, President Menon.
Thank you. And good morning, President Aguinaldo, Vice President Rawlings, and members of the Calbright College Board of Trustees Executive Committee. As we bring 2025 to a close, as President Aguinaldo mentioned, I did want to start by just really thanking the board for your stewardship and care of the Calbright community. Your governance and oversight has really allowed Calbright leadership and faculty and staff to drive in a year of extraordinary success and execution, managing kind of the high demand for our flexible programs while embedding a truly student-centered, human-first approach into our technology and really into our operational DNA. Our 2025 achievements are a reflection of the talent and expertise across the Calbright community, from enrollment technology to program delivery, efficacy to research and data and analytics. So on behalf of the Calbright team, I am just really grateful for the consistent and steadfast work and support of the board in building and evolving the innovative institution that we have today. Our efforts to reach those adult learners in nearly every corner of the states. We are now in 57 out of 58 counties in California. And we have that stubborn 58th county, but we're on our way there as well. I wanted to also thank President Aguinaldo and Vice President Rawlings for the time that President Aguinaldo mentioned, time with our faculty and our staff on Friday for our all hands meeting. I have heard from a lot of staff about how much they have appreciated your direct, empathetic insights and sharing a bit about the board's core responsibilities and oversight of Calbright and of the California Community Colleges system as a whole. It was really invaluable to have you with us last week. While we have a lot to celebrate as we look back over 2025, the team and I are squarely focused on the future in the face of kind of macro level headwinds at the state and federal level as we plan for 2026 and beyond. As California responds to growing challenges that are faced by regions and communities up and down the state, it's clear that educational opportunities need to continue to evolve to meet the moment that we're in and to be responsive and relevant to what learners and employers need. What is undeniable is that Calbright's unique and essential impact for working age adults who need that demand and flexible education that we've built, particularly at a time when we know many more adults need support. They're going to need it to reskill and to upskill to be competitive in today's labor market and also what's around the corner. We're doing this in service of our current students and the many more we know we can be reaching. Adult learners who are looking for educational and career advancement that fits their lives but don't have other places to turn. And I am reminded again of Calbright's role in California's economic and labor ecosystem as I read the recent PPIC survey that sheds light on the fact that fewer than half of low-income workers say their jobs offer opportunities for growth and advancement or education and training assistance. And while we hear things like data from payroll providers that shows earnings gains and ones that have been larger for workers who change jobs, that same PPIC report also found that investing additionally in education is particularly challenging for workers who are already struggling to make ends meet. These are not new challenges, but they are challenges that are solvable, and Calbright has shown that we have the answers. We hear from our students, our Calbright students, repeatedly that if it weren't for our flexible, supportive, affordable, skills forward model, they simply wouldn't be able to pursue their education, their careers, and their economic mobility goals. It is no wonder that we see demand for our programs and the type of demand that we've seen over the course of this year. And that's only going to continue as economic uncertainty in the state and across the country continue to rise. We have the evidence of success from 2025, the data from our learners, and the enrollment growth, the efficacy of our programs to prove the value of our model and our college and what our college provides to meet the needs of adult learners. Our strategic focus now has to be on translating that success into sustainable investment and funding from the state to expand our impact. I want to close by recognizing both the immense pride that we have in 2025 and how we are preparing to tackle a very challenging, fast-moving year in 2026. Your leadership as a board will be key to maintaining the focus on our mission and ensuring that every decision reinforces our commitment to the students who rely on us. I want to thank you for your role in the journey, and I have the utmost confidence in our faculty and our staff that I have the pleasure of working with every day in what we built together and in also our collective ability to tackle 2026 together. Thank you, and that concludes my remarks. I will turn things back over to Bill Dean.
Thank you, President Menon. Let's move over to our closed session. We have item 2.1, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, Government Code Section 54956.9D1. Name of case, Haley v. Online Community College District et al., case number 342021 00304 381 CUOE GDS. Is there any public comment on the closed session items?
There is no public comment.
Thank you, Terry. We expect to return from closed session in approximately 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Right.
Okay. President Aguinaldo, we are ready to begin.
Are we good on the 10 minutes?
Yeah, right out.
Thank you. Welcome back, everybody, from closed session. There is no report out from closed session. We are now moving down to the consent agenda. Do any trustees wish to remove an item from the consent agenda for discussion or separate vote? All right, seeing none, any public comment?
There is no public comment.
Thank you, Terry. I will now entertain a motion and a second.
Move approval.
Second.
I heard Perry and Rawlings, actually, so one.
Well, that's very selective.
It is incredibly so. Well, thank you both. Terry, if I may have the roll, please.
Hildegard Aguinaldo,
Aye.
Amy Costa,
Aye.
Pam Haynes.
Aye.
Jennifer Perry,
Aye.
Bill Rawlings.
Aye.
5 approved, 0 opposed.
Great. Thank you very much, Terry. We are now swiftly moving to the action agenda. Item 4.1 is the approval of a contract for human resources consulting and leadership coaching services with SEAC. And for that, I will pass it to our Chief Financial Officer, Edward Lee.
Hi, good morning, Board President Aguinaldo, Vice President Rawlings, Calvert President Menon, and members of the board. My name is Ed Lee. I'm the Chief Financial Officer here at Calvert College. I'm here to provide the contract for human resources consulting and leadership coaching services with SEAC. Calbright is engaged with ongoing efforts to strengthen its HR capacity, support organizational stability, employee services, and institutional compliance. Again, to ensure continuity of HR leadership at this time and to provide necessary project and coaching support. The college seeks to secure consulting services and support from the School Employers Association, California, or SEAC. SEAC is a statewide organization specializing in public sector HR consulting, organizational development, and leadership coaching. Under this agreement, SEAC will assign a mutually agreed upon consultant coach to provide up to 100 hours per month of HR consulting, leadership coaching, communication support, and project guidance for a total of no more than 600 hours between January 2026 and June 2026, and will be based on availability, consultant availability, and Calvert's operational needs. Staff recommends that the board approve the contract with SEAC from January 2026 through June 2026. For an amount not to exceed $135,000, with the option to extend the agreement upon mutual consent. Happy to take any questions from the board at this time.
Well, thank you, Ed. Member Trustee Costa.
Yeah, so this is an hourly contract, so who will be managing kind of the hours?
Yeah, the team that will be most closely working with the HR liaison there. I think that'll be, business function. I think maybe President Menon might be involved, but folks will be certainly have oversight to the kind of regular usage. The contract will be tracked accordingly as we do with all of our contracts through our monthly financial
I
reporting.
can just add one more thing, which is, we have a kicking and screaming, a live kicking and screaming succession plan. So in the event of an agency vacancy, like a VP of HR vacancy, that plan is activated. And so there's a combination of the director of HR that carries responsibilities, and then additional oversight responsibilities that are carried by another executive at that level.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions from our trustees? All right, hearing none. Any public comment?
There is no public comment.
Thank you, Terry. At this time, I'll entertain a motion and a second, please.
Move agenda Haynes.
We heard you loud and clear, Trustee Haynes. May I have a second?
Second, Raleigh.
All right. We have the second coming from Vice President Rawlings. Terry, if I may have the roll call, please.
Hildegard Aguinaldo. Amy Costa.
Aye.
Pamela Haynes.
Aye.
Jennifer Perry.
Aye.
Bill Rawlings.
Aye.
5 approved, 0 opposed.
Great. Thank you very much, Terry. Let's move to first reading. Item 5.1 is first reading of Board Policy 7230, classified employees. And I will pass that one over to our General Counsel, Wanda Daniel.
Morning, President Otto and members of the board. We have before you a series of first readings on amendments to board policies to conform with recent revisions to the league templates that will align us with updates in regulations and applicable laws. So we'll take them one by one. Each of these are on for first reading, and we'll come back for a second reading and adoption in a future agenda. The first policy is Board Policy 7230 regarding classified employees. This is up for your consideration to approve to reflect
Yeah, Wanda, I think your mic is off. We're having some sound issues.
I'm sorry, it's,
There you go. Okay, thank you.
can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. The first policy is 7230, classified employees. This is up for your consideration to align with recent revisions to align with the Education Code's requirement for a 6-month probationary period for classified employees, to clarify the categories of employees who are included within the classified service for employment, to articulate the components of employment evaluations as required by regulation, and to outline the requirements and guidelines for Cal Bright administrators and supervisors concerning providing official letters of Cal Bright employees.
Boys, don't scrape it out. Sorry. No, I'm sorry.
Following discussion today, the policy will come back in a future agenda for consideration for adoption. That concludes my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Wanda. Any comments from the board? All right, hearing none. Any public comments?
There is no public comment.
Great, thank you very much, Terry. We do not have any action for that one since it's first reading, but we are swiftly moving to 5.2, which is the first reading of Board Policy 7240 for confidential employees. And Wanda, you're up again.
Thank you. The next policy is 7240, confidential employees. Again, this is a recommendation for the board to consider adopting revisions to reflect updates in recent templates by the league to incorporate required components of employment evaluations. Those are the only changes to this policy, and I'm happy to answer any questions, but the recommendation is for there to be a first reading and place it on a future agenda for consideration for adoption.
Thank you very much, Wanda. Any trustee discussion? Hearing none, any public comment?
There is no public comment.
Thank you very much, Terry. Wanda, you're still in the hot seat for 5.3, which has to do with Board Policy 7250 for educational administrators.
Thank you. The next policy for your consideration are the revisions to 7250 educational administrators. Again, this would align with the recent revisions made in the league templates. These revisions reflect the requirements for administrators and supervisors concerning providing official letters of recommendations for Calbright employees, and to clarify any extenuating circumstances under which retreat rights would not be available as a matter of right. So I'm happy to answer any questions regarding those revisions. Following today's discussion and review, we will bring it back for discussion and consideration for adoption in a future agenda.
Thank you, Wanda. Any board discussion? Hearing none, any public comment?
There is no public comment.
Great, thank you, Terry. Wanda, you're up again. First reading of policy 7260 for classified administrators.
And finally, we have the recommended revision to 7260 for classified administrators, again, to align with recent revisions in the league templates. The revisions reflected here outline the requirements for Calbright administrators and supervisors concerning providing official letters of recommendation to Calbright employees. Those are the only revisions. And again, following today's review and discussion, we will place the item on a future agenda for consideration for adoption. That concludes my report.
Thank you very much, Wanda. Any trustee discussion? Okay, hearing none, any public comment?
There is no public comment.
Thank you very much, Terry. We are now in section 6, information and reports. 6.1 is our first quarter fiscal year 2026 budget update, and Edward Lee, our CFO, is up again.
Hey, so I'm here to present the first quarter financial update for the status of the college. Again, this reflects the time period from July 2025 to September 2025, and I have a few slides I'd like to go through together. Great, so if we could go to the next slide there. So there'll be three main sections here. The general budget overview, just kind of a refresher. A quick slide there. We'll go through the financial report highlights from the third quarter, and then lastly, we'll talk about some next steps. Okay, let's go to the next slide, please. So this slide just shows just the quick snapshot of the budget of what we are comparing the financial kind of performance against, which is the budget that was approved by the board at the August meeting. Again, there were a few different highlights that we had at that time. Again, I want to just highlight again alignment with the strategic vision framework and some themes from the budget, which were really continued program growth, continue to build strategic partnerships, and also managing our resources effectively, given the constrained kind of resource environment that the college is in. All right, let's go to the next slide, please. Great, so we'll do some highlights for Q1. Have a few bullet points, and then we'll go into some of the actual financials here. So next slide, please. So you can see here, there's three areas that I'd probably highlight in terms of I guess less numerical, but all connected here is just continued strategic enrollment management. Again, the organization continues to make decisions to effectively use the resources in alignment with the budget plan. That includes just kind of managing the continued high demand for Calbright's programs, which is reflected in the budget. And therefore, as number of students and things like that are one of the key cost drivers. You see that reflected in the performance. The second bullet there is Due to the timing of services and partnership activities, again, which is quite common, where service would be rendered, and then you review the service against the expectation, do the payment on the back end. So some of the many times the expenditures in Q1 are a little lower. We anticipate higher expenditures throughout later in the fiscal year. And then the third item I'd like to highlight is, again, high level here. The college is projecting to be on track with the approved budget and a little bit below is what we're forecasting at this time. So hopefully that'll help kind of frame the next few slides. Yeah, why don't we go to the next slide here? We'll go into some numbers. I know it's a little small for some folks. Again, materials are also on the website. But this is a snapshot of the Q1, again, July through September restricted funds, those being the one-time startup funds that we've been discussing. At the end of June, again, the fund balance remaining was about $26.2 million. You can see that in the lower left-hand, lower left number there. And again, the highlight here I want to say is the forecast, again, as discussed in prior board meetings, we do anticipate fully using up the remaining startup funds, which is highlighted by the 0 in the lower right-hand column of the financial snapshot there. So that's kind of, let me go a little bit underneath that, which is, again, the board approved roughly 26.3 or so in expenditures in the adopted budget, which you can see in the total expenditure line item. We're reporting about 5.2 million is being used. If you keep tracking to the right in that total expenditures row, main budget about 21.2 million. And we're forecasting, pretty much, right on what we were budgeted for the year. Questions may arise around what are local revenues. Again, that's primarily investment income from, Calbright's, cash that is held with Solano County Office of Education. So, yes.
So the 26 million, you said we're going to use it, but what I want to know is this, we did a lot of encumbering of funds or paying. And so you looking at me like but, and I shouldn't be looking at you, I should be looking at him. So is this money that's sitting there that has not been encumbered yet?
So the encumbrances we do track, to be clear, and those are part of our regular kind of financial reports against certain contracts. I'll just say that one can be a little complicated because sometimes the encumbrances do cross fiscal years. So we have done planning in alignment with the fiscal year for 25-26 and the anticipated expense recognition there. And we continue to track any multi-year encumbrances accordingly that might be beyond the commitment or expectation for 25-26. So I'd say that we kind of experience both, where if it's helpful in here, in some cases, actually, some of the encumbered funds don't get recognized at the time that we expect to get them recognized. Some of the, the expenditures would be lower than anticipated, right? And at times there are also encumbered funds that actually are recognized a little bit more maybe than we anticipate. If there's an example would be like a no cost extension, right? You might go further into the next fiscal year. But those are things that we all kind of work through during the planning season, again, to the best of our abilities, to ensure that the expense recognition numbers that you're seeing reflect the anticipated activity during the course of the year.
Okay.
Sorry, was that helpful?
No.
No, okay.
No,
Yes.
I understand what you said.
Yeah, okay.
And I guess I just want to make certain that nobody grabs that money or thinks that money isn't going to be used for what we need it to be used for.
Yeah, I would just say, I understand we're entering the season of that in the state budget process. It is, our budget's very simple. The lines are primarily costs are payroll related costs. And so it is evident that the resourcing that has been in the approved budget that we are tracking accurately in terms of expenditures reflect our actual needs and costs for the remainder of the fiscal year. So
Okay,
there's not a penny to be spared,
exactly. No, I
including-
understand that part completely.
including the maintenance of required reserve levels pursuant to our board policy,
Okay,
which I understand is under scrutiny at the moment across the system.
thank you. Thank you
Excuse me
both.
for one moment. We lost the visual of the SoCal.
Can they hear us?
Area. President Aguinaldo, can you hear us?
Okay, well,
I think they disconnected. Oh, did they come back? They just muted.
yeah, there's problems on that end.
Yeah,
Yeah.
meet the tech on that is a little bit harder. It's not quite as
Yeah.
convenient as the tech here.
We lost them altogether. Yep.
Kind of wait for now, but if there's any follow-up.
I'm good.
Okay.
They're trying to reconnect. Such pause. They're troubleshooting.
Just college, yeah.
Right. Thanks, everyone. Southern California folks, we can reacclimate to being back online while Ed continues answering the question. I think there was a question pending, if I was correct. Or we were in the middle of an
He answered
explanation.
it. You guys may
We
have
don't really
missed
want to know
it.
the answer.
Okay.
I think we got most of the answer.
All right. Any other questions from the board then? Okay. Any public comment?
Wait,
Oh, President
Ed hasn't
Aguinaldo.
finished presenting the slides, Hildy.
Oh, sorry. I thought we were on to a different part of it. Ed, please continue.
I'll take that as a message to be quick. All right, here we go.
Take as much time as you need. I
I
think
know.
I was thrown
Well,
off a tad because Pam asked her question in the middle of the presentation. So I'm blaming this all on Pam. Okay, Ed, go ahead.
Got it.
All right, well, let's go to the next slide, please. Again, this is the financial snapshot of we're calling them unrestricted funds. Again, this is the 15 million annual apportionment from the state. And you can see here, the budgeted expenditure amount. Again, let's just talk about total expenditures. In the far left-hand column, and the adopted budget was about 16.8 million. Again, we're forecasting about, to the far right column there, about 16.1 on the unrestricted fund side of the house. And then also highlight the bottom two rows there. If you're tracking with me on excess deficiency of revenues over expenditures, kind of your net surplus deficit, but the approved budget was at a deficit of 1.6 million. The forecasting is closer to a million on the deficit side. So that's about exceeding the adopted, budget by about 600,000 or so. So that's helpful to know. And on the fund balance side, after kind of the audit work, which we're going to go into in the next section, the audited fund balance was about 4.0 million. And we're forecasting that to be about 3 million, which again is higher than what the adopted budget we understood at the time. So why don't we go to the next slide, combining everything together. So this would be both the startup funds and then also the annual funding allocation. I'm just going to point down to a couple of things. The total expenditure line item there, I'm saying 42.5 million. Again, as forecasted, to be clear. And the board approved the budget. You can see on the far left-hand column of 43.2 million. So we're just kind of a little bit underneath there as a forecast. Again, we'll continue to track, obviously, throughout the year and make those updates. And then I also want to note, if you look at the bottom two rows there, right, we'll call, the fund balance and the reserve percentage. The fund balance, we're projecting at the end of June to be about 3 million, which is a little bit higher than what we projected at the time of the budget approval. And the reserve percentage, we're projecting continues to meet board policy of greater than 5%. At the time of the approved budget, it was closer to 6%. So just wanted to kind of share a snapshot of kind of where we're at after Q1.
Can I clarify one thing on that point, Ed, and feel free to correct me, but I think it's just important if people are thinking about this, which is fund balances and reserve funds are still one-time in nature. And what we have is a structural issue. So, those funds can buy you time, but given that the vast majority of our costs are ongoing, we still have to address the structural issue. So I'm happy that we have a reserve fund, and that's great. But it doesn't really address kind of the elephant in the room, which is our structural issue. And we're going to hopefully figure that out in the coming year. But I just think it's helpful for people to know that, because I think sometimes folks look at that and think, oh, great, but it's one time. Once we use it, it's gone.
I appreciate that, Trustee Cost. And I'll kind of add on to that too, which is, it's there for economic uncertainty, right? And then the chancellor's recommended guidance there is 16.7%, which is 2 months of operating cash effectively, right? So, in the instance of, potential deferrals and whatnot, that's real working capital. That's real cash that you would need to just operate for a couple of months if funds aren't coming in a timely manner. We know that the state tends to use deferrals as a primary option when the budget is kind of in a tough spot or the economy is a little uncertain. So, all right, I'll go to the next slide, please. And next steps here, just a quick slide on next steps. We wrapped up our audited financial statement work from the prior year, which will be our next agenda item. So you'll hear more on that from our auditor. And secondly, we're going to continue to monitor our financial performance against the budget, and we'll be sharing more on a quarterly update with the board about updates on how things are going. That's all I have for the Q1 financial update. Happy to take any questions or additional questions on this topic.
Great. Thank you very much, Ed. Any trustee discussion? Hearing none. Any public comment?
There is no public comment.
Thank you, Terry. I will acknowledge that our financial stability and our what Trustee Costa raised is of paramount importance for us at this time. So this is just a snapshot in 6.1, but it's definitely part of a larger picture, as I know we are all acutely aware of. All right, sticking with our CFO, Edward Lee, item 6.2, report on audit of financial statements, reports on compliance and governance letter. Ed, I'll leave it to you to introduce the rest of your guest speakers.
Yes. So for this topic, we have our annual audit that is performed by certified public accountants licensed by the California Board of Accountancy. As such, we have brought in our third-party auditor team, CWBL, specifically Stephen Curry, our partner and lead on our engagement, to share some of the results from the prior year audit and answer any questions you might have. So Stephen, I'll hand it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you. Can everybody hear me good?
Yeah.
All righty. Awesome. Thank you for having me. Like Ed said, my name's Stephen Curry. I'm one of the audit partners at CWDL. Maybe just before we jump into kind of the audit report, give a shout out to, Ed, both Ambers and the team for facilitating this audit. An audit, is very time consuming. It takes a lot of resources from their plate to do their day-to-day operations to make sure, giving us what we need, where auditors are needy. So we do request a lot of information, and they did a good job at getting us everything to ultimately get us to where we're at, issued reports, meeting the deadlines as imposed by the Chancellor's Office. So with that, I'm going to share my screen. Can everybody see my screen?
You can.
Awesome. So what I want to do is just kind of take you just through the financial statements on how they're set up. And then if there's any questions along the way, feel free to ask me. But really, most importantly, is just kind of looking at kind of the layout of the financial statement. So, as auditors, we get the trial balances from the district. We import them into our system, and then we begin that audit process. And ultimately, what we're trying to do is get to that opinion at the end of the report. Or in this case, the first page where it starts, and then our supplemental reports at the end. So maybe just jumping right into it, page 1, which is our independent auditor's report. This is where we're issuing our opinion on the financial statements taken as a whole. One thing just to note in here, the responsibilities for management. Management's responsible for the fair preparation and fair presentation of the financial statements. Us as auditors, we provide reasonable assurance that they're free from material misstatements. And those two combined is kind of how we get to our opinion here, which was an unmodified opinion, where we essentially are saying the financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects the respective financial position of the business type activities of the district. And by business type activities, what this is, it takes those individual funds, combines them, and it brings on all those conversion issues related to debt and assets, fixed assets. Once we get out of the opinion, which is the first few pages, we get into on page 4, which is called management's discussion analysis. This is a very high level overview, shows kind of a comparison on the district on how the balance sheet, the income statement, and how those resources have been used from year to year. So it gives a really high level overview here of like what is the current assets being used, current liabilities, and overall the audited net position of the district, which will be different than the fund balance that you're used to seeing. Next page kind of shows the resources of how the money was coming in and out, how that's being spent across that between fiscal year 25 and 24. And and then some information on kind of the outlooks. So this is all management prepared for the economic outlooks, talks about the future of the budget, which you guys have just went over, some good user information. And then after this, we get into what's the basic financial statements. And this begins on page 8 of the report, and this goes through page 11. So these are known as the basic financial statements. So what you saw in the MD&A was condensed version. This will have a little bit more detail, the breakout of what are the assets, the breakout of what are the different liabilities, what is the district's AP at the end of the year. Some information related to the capital assets and how that's changed, which we could talk about shortly. Same thing. This is a little bit more similar to the MD&A, just the information related for the 2 years on how the revenues and expenses moved. And then on page 10 and page 11 is just the statement of cash flows. So this shows how did the cash actually move. So we have that statement of revenues, which shows the expenditure side, but when did the cash actually move? At the end of the year, you have, accruals that are on the books that aren't cash done yet. So those will affect on exactly how cash moves. And then beginning on page 12 through page 34 is the notes to the financial statement. So this is probably the bulk of the remaining of the report. This provides you even more information from what you saw. So we had the MD&A high level basic financial statements in detail, and then this goes into even greater detail for certain balances. We have information related to the significant accounting policies. As we go kind of through here, I'll scroll quickly. We get into information related to cash and cash equivalents, where that information is being held. We have information related to the district's capital and right to use lease assets. So what this is related to for the district just has those technology equipment. We had some deletions this year related to a program that the district's no longer using. And then we had some of the new technology equipment that was brought on. So essentially what this is, a lot of that's related to is like any system that you buy that you guys own will get capitalized up to the point it's used, and then it will get amortized or depreciated. Down below on the leased assets for any multi-year subscriptions, those come on as a subscription-based IT arrangement, and those are also amortized over usually the contract term. Moving forward, information about the liabilities. The big one here is probably going to be one of the changes this year is related to compensated absences. GASB 101 was issued, where there's clarification language on related to compensated absences. One of the big ones is for districts to analyze sick leave, look at kind of how much sick leave is being used, come up with an estimate of what that value is going to be worth as a long-term liability. Not necessarily means that it's paid out when employees separate. It just means there is a cost that GASB wants to better present for users of the financials. Kind of just moving through here, information about functional expense instead of those single categories where you're seeing it spent by salaries, benefits, operating expenses, capital outlay. This tells you based off the function how those funds are moving. And this does take in consideration our conversion entries. And really the last big one in here is just a big long footnote about the employee retirement system. So this is related to the STRS and PERS, those pension plans, GASB 68, which was brought on about 12 years ago, required all districts to present their information related to their proportionate share of the net pension liability, which we'll go into in just a minute into the next section. So information in here, kind of the deferred inflows, outflows, how that works, really some good information about the 1%. So how the discount rate could affect that liability right now based on the regulations. We have 7.1 for Cal STRS, 6.9 for Cal PERS, and whether or not they came up 1% higher or lower, how that can change that liability. And that kind of wraps up the notes, which is the majority of the report. The next area we get into is the required supplementary information, which that begins on page 35. And for Calbright, this is really just going to be information for the pension. So eventually we'll have 10 years of information here, and this kind of shows how did those pensions get into the report. So ultimately right now we're at about 4.3 related to STRS and about 20 million related to PERS. Next page is just kind of showing the contributions, statutory contributions. And then the next part of the audit report is the supplementary information beginning on page 38. This is information that the Chancellor's Office wants put into the district's audit reports. So for this organization, it's a little bit different. You don't have all the same compliance as other districts. So we really just have information on the organizational structure, information related to the 50% law, and information related to kind of how we reconcile. And then lastly, beginning on page 42 is the other independent auditors report. So the first one is our report on internal control, where we don't issue an internal control opinion, but we do state that as part of attaining our financial statement opinion, we do assess the district's internal controls over financial reporting. So we are pulling samples related to disbursements, payroll, cash receipts, compliance areas, and we do look at those controls. How are they working? Is there any gaps in those controls that would make us, have to adjust our risk for financial statement reporting? And with that, we did not have any major significant deficiencies related to the internal controls or material weaknesses. The next audit opinion is the independent auditor's report on state compliance. So what this is each year the Chancellor's Office issues the CDAM, which outlines procedures that they want auditors to review, whether it's applicable, and if it is applicable, to test their suggested audit procedures. With that, we did have one significant deficiency, which is kind of a rollover. We worked with the Chancellor's Office to ask them about it. They do believe that it should stay in the report, and that's related to the 50% law. But we did issue an unmodified opinion, and that did not modify any opinion with regards to the state compliance report. And then just kind of lastly, on page 47, this is kind of the summary of the auditor's results. So this just says we had an unmodified opinion for both the financial statements and the state awards. And then it does indicate right here that we had that significant deficiency, which is related to the district's 50% law. And we do know the district's in a unique situation. You're in a startup, so it's going to be very, very hard, during the startup phase to get to that 50% law status. And with that, any questions?
Right, any trustee discussion? No, it's over 50 pages of report, but it was relatively straightforward. So I don't want to say that it was too easy for us to understand, but your work certainly made it much easier to digest. So thank you very much for that. Public, yes, I didn't forget about that piece. Wanda is telling me that I forgot public comment, and I didn't forget it. I just haven't gotten there yet, but now I'll do it. Public comment, please, Terry.
There is no public comment.
All right. Thank you very much to the team for the presentation on the audit. Let's move to 6.3, and Ed remains in the hot seat for that one. That's the application for exemption for the 50% law.
All right, so the 50% law requires each district to spend at least half of its current expense of education each fiscal year for salaries and benefits of classroom instructors. Districts may apply for an exemption with the California Community Colleges Chancellor's Office based on particular circumstances. And as Stephen mentioned actually earlier, Calbright actually has been granted an exemption from the Chancellor's Office during the season. That being said, sometimes the guidance does change from time to time. And during the 24-25 year, Chancellor's Office recommends that 2 forms get filed with them in the year. Again, we follow the guidance based on what is provided. As such, given these requirements of the exemption process, Calbright has done the following. We filed the first form, which is CCFS 350A, in September with the Chancellor's Office. We've also filed the second form, CCFS 350B, with the Chancellor's Office. We've also notified the Academic Senate and faculty representation, as well as provided a 30-day notice for a public hearing for Title V regulations. I'd also like to know that Calbright has increased its current expense of education from 8% in 23-24 to 29% in 24-25, and this continues to trend upwards. Additionally, based on an updated methodology of student-facing expenditures of Calbright's differentiated model, Calbright estimates about 72% of its expenditures in 24-25 for student-facing. In terms of next steps, Calbright will be holding a public hearing in January on this topic, and we'll plan to present this application for exemption as an action item for the board in January as well. At this time, I'm happy to take any questions on this topic.
Thank you very much, Ed. Any trustee discussion? All right, hearing none, any public comment?
There is no public comment.
Great. Thank you very much, Terry. And thank you very much, Ed. We will stick with you, though, on 6.4, reports on contracts and purchases.
So I'm here to provide the standard report on the monthly contract and purchase activities from the prior month, which is November. As part of the board agenda, you can find attachments and additional information on both the contracts from November, of which there were 7, and also the purchase list from the prior month, which totals approximately $297,000. I'm happy to take any questions about any of those topics this time.
Okay, any trustee discussion? Hearing none, any public comment?
There is no public comment.
Thank you very much, Terry. All right, we are now on the constituency group reports. Item 7.1 is the Calbright Academic Senate report, and there is no report there. So we are now at 7.2, the Calbright Faculty Association report, and for that, I welcome Cindy Carney.
Thank you. Good afternoon, President Minnick, President Aguinaldo, and Vice President Rollins and Board of Trustees. I am here today to notify that in January we will be sunshining and give a high-level overview of what we will be opening for our successor agreement. We plan to open up 5 articles. Article 1, association recognition, to modify language to include all part-time faculty, instructors, and counselors as part of the CFA bargaining unit. We also look to open Article 4, working conditions, to clarify and improve language around working conditions. Article 5, salary placement. Article 7, evaluations, and Article 10, benefits. I look forward to officially sunshining next month at the board meeting, and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Cindy. Item 7.3 is the California School Employees Association. There is no report there. And item 7.4 is from the Associated Students of Calbright College. So for that, we welcome Deb Hemingway.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It is my honor to mention there will be new ASCC leadership and officers for the 2026 term. They bring enthusiasm, fresh perspectives, and a strong commitment to student engagement and leadership. I am confident that under their direction, ASCC will continue to grow in visibility, collaboration, and impact across Calbright community. This year's student engagement plan has shown measurable success in increasing student participation and building community through consistent events, polls, and communication efforts on Slack. Initiatives such as Technically Studying and Club Night have helped connect students across programs, fostering a stronger sense of belonging within the Calbright community. These efforts have also created a clear framework for future engagement strategies, which the incoming officers can build upon in 2026 to keep the momentum going. And the key item carried over into 2026 is the continued development of student solicitation and communication guidelines within Calbright Slack channels. As our community expands, it is essential to create a framework that supports engagement while maintaining professionalism and fairness. To accomplish this, ASCC will continue working with Calbright's legal department and the Student Senate for California Community Colleges, also known as SSCCC, to establish clear and ethical standards for how students and partners can share opportunities and information. This will help ensure that all communication remains respectful, inclusive, and student-centered. And as my term as ASCC president comes to an end, I want to take a moment to reflect with deep appreciation on this year of growth, service, and student advocacy. Serving the Calbright student body has been an incredible experience, one that has strengthened my leadership, communication, and commitment to empowering others. I extend my heartfelt thanks to our ASCC advisors, faculty partners, SSCCC, the Board of Trustees, and the 2025 ASCC officers whose dedication and creativity have been the backbone of our success. Each officer has grown tremendously in their role, showing courage, adaptability, and compassion in representing their peers. I also want to express sincere gratitude to former ASCC presidents and officers whose past leadership paved the way for continued student engagement and institutional collaboration. And in particular, I would like to thank former ASCC President Jeremy Cox for his insight, his encouragement, and sound advice throughout my term. His guidance has been invaluable in shaping both ASCC's progress and my personal growth as a student leader. Now, although my presidential term is ending, I will continue to be involved with ASCC in a supporting capacity. It's time for new leadership and fresh perspectives, and I'm excited to see how the 2026 ASCC officers will build upon our foundation and take Calbright College to new heights. Now, this isn't goodbye. It's more of see you at a future meeting. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you. We are now at 8.1, our public forum. Are there any members of the public who wish to be heard?
President Aguinaldo, there are several members. The first one is here in Sacramento, Michelle Volker. Michelle, you have 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning, President Aguinaldo and members of the committee. My name is Michelle Mascio-Volker, and I am a part-time faculty member here at Calbright College. I'm here today to speak in support of part-time faculty joining the full-time union. Part-time faculty, as you know, play a critical role in delivering instruction, supporting students, and advancing the mission of the institution. Yet too often they do so without the same level of voice or representation afforded to full-time faculty. Allowing part-time faculty to join the full-time faculty union promotes equity, shared governance, and consistency in working conditions. It strengthens collaboration between faculty groups, ensures that decisions affecting instruction and student success include all educators' perspectives, and helps create a more stable and supportive learning environment for students. Supporting union inclusion for part-time faculty is not only fair, it aligns with Calbright's values and commitment to educational excellence. I urge leadership to support this effort. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
The next public comment, President Aguinaldo, is from Douglas Spindler, who is currently here in Sacramento. Douglas, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. For Calbright College Board of Trustees, Administration, and Community. Calbright College is truly unique institution, an innovative online community college designed to expand access, equity, and opportunity for adult learners across California. Many of us joined Calbright because we believe in this mission, in the power of reimagining higher education for working adults, career changers, and lifelong learners. We are proud to teach, mentor, and serve our students, helping them develop skills, confidence, and a brighter future. We also know Calbright College can live up to its mission of creating an equitable, sustainable, and empowering environment for students along with educators. Over the years, we have gone above and beyond to uphold the college's mission, supporting adult learners through complex challenges and helping Calbright grow from a startup to an accredited institution. Yet this success has often come at a cost, borne especially by part-time faculty. Many of us teach across multiple institutions, work without job security, and fill in systemic gaps without adequate compensation or communications. These challenges make it difficult to sustain our efforts, retain talented educators who deeply care about Calbright's success. We have experienced an inequitable reduction of hours, reduced pay while maintaining current workloads, workload imbalance, and limited support, where faculty often take on mentoring and administrative duties beyond teaching. Inconsistent communications creating confusion and inequity across departments and programs, lack of paid professional development, advancement opportunities, despite commitment to continuous improvement in student success. We have limited job stability with term-by-term contracts and uncertainty that hinder long-term engagements and innovation. We love our students, our courses, but these challenges have led to inequity, both of which ultimately affect student experience and program outcomes. We believe Calbright can do better. We envision a stronger, more sustainable Calbright through job stability and working conditions that allow part-time faculty to plan for the future and remain invested in Calbright's success. Equality in pay, benefits that reflect our value, our expertise, and the cost of living in California. Meaningful inclusion in decision-making, ensuring our faculty perspectives are heard in areas that affect instruction, student engagement, and college policy. Professional growth opportunities that align with Calbright's mission and lifelong learning for both educators and students. We are proud to serve Calbright College and students. We take this step not in opposition, but out of dedication to ensure Calbright continues to innovate, empower, and lead in a way that is fair, transparent, sustainable for all that make this mission possible. We call on Calbright leadership to honor this collective voice, engage with us in good faith, and collaborate on a structure that allows both students and educators to succeed for years to come. In solidarity and commitment to our shared mission, Calbright, I'm representing Calbright's college part-time faculty. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments, sir.
The next public comment is from Michael Judas, who is at Citrus College location. Michael, you have 3 minutes.
Morning. Thank you for seeing me. My name is Michael Dudas, and I'm a part-time adjunct instructor for Calbright. I'm in the cybersecurity and network technology programs. I started Calbright 3 years ago as a contractor, and I've watched the college grow and develop through additional programs, accreditation, and the massive increase in student enrollment that our good work has brought. As we all know, part-time faculty is the backbone of higher education. We have a special opportunity to be available to reach students far outside of normal hours. I myself make my office hours available till 10 p.m. and routinely start my student meetings at these late hours, watching students closing up shop for the night, making their final deliveries, or having just finished dinner or putting their kids to bed. These often being the only times available to them to complete their schoolwork or reach out for help when they are stuck or need encouragement. Calbright provides unique opportunities for all Californians to better themselves wherever they are and whenever they have the time to do so. For all of these reasons, I fully support part-time faculty joining full-time faculty in the Calbright Faculty Association. I look forward to seeing what we can all do together for students to make Calbright what we all believe it can be, a beacon of light for all Californians. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Bless you.
President Aguinaldo, we have another public comment from Ashley Odell, who is here in our Sacramento location.
Thank you, Terry.
Thanks, Terry. Good afternoon, President Aguinaldo and trustees. My name is Ashley Odell. I'm a full-time faculty member at Calbright College and a secretary of the Calbright Faculty Association. I'm here today to speak in strong support of the unionization of our part-time faculty and their decision to join our existing faculty association. Calbright's mission centers on equity, access, and student success, particularly for working adults and students historically excluded from higher education. That mission does not begin or end with our students. It must also extend to the educators who deliver our programs, build relationships with students, and carry the day-to-day work of instruction forward. At Calbright, we currently have only 5 full-time instructional faculty, but the institution currently offers 10 academic programs and a growing durable skills curriculum. That reality makes our part-time faculty not supplemental, but essential. They are core to our instructional capacity, core to student success, and core to Calbright's future. Unionizing our part-time faculty is about stability, voice, and equity. It ensures that the people doing this work have a seat at the table, clear expectations, and consistent working conditions that allows them to focus on what matters most, our students. I also want to acknowledge the financial challenges that Calbright and many other California institutions are facing. These are difficult times, and no one here is unaware of the budget pressures. But it's precisely in moments like this that our values are tested. Unionizing our part-time faculty is not a threat to Calbright's fiscal health. It is an investment in transparency, fairness, and collaboration, values that help institutions navigate crises more effectively, not less. Bringing part-time faculty into our union strengthens our college. It aligns Calbright with best practices across higher education. And more importantly, it affirms that equity is something we practice in all areas of the institution. I urge the board to view this unionization as an opportunity to stabilize our instructional workforce, to support student success, and to live up to the mission Calbright was created to serve. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you for your comments.
President Aguinaldo, that completes our public comment.
Thank you very much. And that also concludes our agenda for the day. So we are at item 9.1, meeting adjournment. The business of the Board of Trustees is now complete and we can adjourn. It is 12:38 and thank you for your participation. Oh, happy holidays.
Yes. Back at you.